Come on, Amber, let's go. Come on. Come on, Amber. Amber, come on. Yeah, I meant you. Okay, so this is a mini adventure. I'm calling it an artist date. But really, I got paid and I'm going to the art supply store and I just got a barbecue sandwich. So it's really self-care. And I need to wash my car. I got some 300-pound watercolor paper. A sheet of it. While I was at the store. Isn't that awesome? I think I'm going to make a sketchbook with this. So this is my 300-pound notebook sketchbook that I had made. It was pretty expensive, but I got this. I made this actually like 20 years ago when the watercolor paper was only $5 a sheet. Now it's $18 a sheet, but it was kind of expensive to get it bound. Anyway, but I wanted to show you that I was playing with the Kuretake granulating colors with the watercolor, with the 300-pound watercolor paper, because in using the Paul Rubens sketchbook with the hot press paper, I was getting really frustrated with how lifty the paint is. That is not a word, I know that, but the paint lifts rather easily. And so you have to be careful. Like here, I was trying to add more dark blue, but I ended up just kind of lifting the paint rather than adding paint, which you can see some of that. But anyway, so I got a little bit frustrated and decided that I wanted to get my 300-pound book back out. So this, like I said, was like 20 years ago I made this thing. I kind of like that painting. That one's kind of cool. I was in Venice and France and Greece. So anyway, some of them are a little overworked and a little dark, but I'm not even going to show you that one because I don't even like it. Oops. Oops. I hit everything. It hit everything. So yeah, this is just the water. Anyway, this one actually I painted with a painter in France, but this was like 20 years ago. So I ended up taking a class from an artist in France, and we did this, which was pretty cool. Anyway, okay, so that's what I got on my haul. This is what happens when you're depressed and you're an artist. Yeah. So continuing on with the 300-pound paper tutorial, I don't if you've never used 300-pound paper, the way you can cut it, this is actually 1/4 of a sheet. That sheet that I showed you before, hold on one second. This is the same size as my sketchbook. So that means that I cut this up into fourths, I think. Anyway, the way you manage this paper, actually, if you would like to resize it, is you can actually break it. So you line it up and then fold it. And it doesn't make it always even. And now you can just tear it. And you still get that deckled edge. So I still have to do that to 3. So 300-pound paper is amazing. And I suggest you actually invest in a sheet. And then, of course, if you wanted to make this even smaller, like postcard size, you can. So these are the paintings that the paintings that I did with the Arizona palette that I made. This one I did prior to going to Arizona from a photograph that I had there. This was actually while I was in Arizona, and it was a photograph that I actually took. It's too hot to do anything outside. Anyway, this is with 140-pound watercolor paper that I made into a little mini sketchbook. which I'm going to have a video on how to make one of those really soon. This is also 140-pound cold press paper that I made into a sketchbook. It was just a 9x12 pad of paper that I cut up and then sewed together. Anyway, to make your own sketchbooks. So this is one of the 300. This is one of the pages of the 300-pound paper that I just cut, and I'm going to use the Arizona palette. Same sort of situation, and I'm going to paint this one more time as a comparison. I was having some problems. I'm not sure I like this paint. And so one of the things I was going to do was test it on the 300-pound paper and see how the paint reacts on this 300-pound paper. I find that on the Paul Rubens, yep, I can speak. The Paul Rubens hot pressed paper that I was using for using for my 31 days of watercolor with Emma Lefebvre, which that was awesome. You should go to her channel and watch and do all the paintings for that. Look how pretty that. Anyway, okay, so I was using mostly my Van Gogh paints with that, and so this was made with the Van Gogh paints. Anyway, long story short, I'm just gonna try it again. Okay, I hope you enjoy. Sorry this was such a long introduction. Okay, bye. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hello and welcome to the voiceover. I am sketching out a rough composition with just a cactus with a couple of arms and some mountains in the background. Did you know that a saguaro cactus is about 100 years old when its first arm grows? And so, like most of those cactus that you see in Arizona are 100, 200 years old. So that one that I took a picture of, both those that I took a picture of, might be over 200 years old, might be 250 years old. How crazy is that? My sister and mother went to a cactus and they got their picture taken, and like the cactus, you know, it spanned the whole picture from top to bottom, and they're just teeny tiny at the very bottom. I have no idea where that cactus is. Anyway, cactus stories. Okay, so I am spending actually a lot of time right now wetting the paper around the cactus. And the reason why I'm doing that is because 300-pound watercolor paper is so different than 90 or 140-pound paper. I don't know the GSMs. I'm so sorry. Anyway, the reason why I did that is because I wanted to have time to put the colors in for the sky, which you'll see. And because I wet the paper, and because the 300-pound paper is just so amazing. I mean, it's completely amazing. There's things that I did with this painting I could not have done on the other paintings, and I certainly couldn't have done in the Paul Rubens hot pressed paper because, well, you'll see. Anyway, so the sky is still wet as I'm adding some colors. At first I thought maybe I would just do daytime scene, and then I decided maybe a little bit of a sunset would be interesting. One of the things that we learned during the 31 days of watercolor practice with Emma Lefebvre is we learned how to do this swoopy sunset sky thing. So anyway, once again, totally recommend you go check that out. And so once, I keep saying once again, apologies. I'm not that great at YouTube yet. I hope you'll forgive me. All right, so for painting this, I wet the paper, I added some colors, and I'm doing a wet on wet technique right now, which is very difficult on hot press paper because it doesn't absorb properly. On 140 cold press paper, it's okay. 300 cold pressed paper, it's amazing. So this whole time I'm able to, where I just put that paint down, it's still wet, and it's just, it's like a towel, the way it absorbs it. And so now, so I put the paint down, and I didn't exactly like how it was coming out, so I dried my brush off and I sort of swooped it around, and on the other papers, it would have lifted it up. So anyway, I was able to move it without it lifting, which was pretty good. All right, moved on to the dirt there, then the mountains, and then started on the cactus. I think I'm going to stop talking now just so you don't have to listen to me. Anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say. Buy some 300-pound paper. It is completely amazing, and it will change your life. Okay, maybe not. Okay, so advice: don't go shopping when you're depressed, and don't sit on your cat, even though he stole my chair. Okay, bye. Sorry to interrupt. I wanted to point out that I was painting the mountains kind of in a different way. I started with the shadows and then built up some color on top of there. You could not have done that with watercolor, like hot press watercolor paper. No way could you have done that. The paint would have just slid all over the place. Anyway, I also wanted to change the song because while I was editing, I was getting tired of listening to that one. Anyway, so I hope this one is a little bit more fun. And okay, I'll pop back in next time if I need to. Okay, bye. Hi, it's me again. I didn't like that song. I have started on the cactus, and you will see me attempting to paint the cactus in a couple of different ways. I was still practicing with the 300-pound watercolor paper, but once again, I'm amazed at how good it takes the paint and how it works with you. So when I painted that one arm, I put the color down and it was too dark, but it was easy to lift up. Now it's stained a little bit because the watercolor can be staining, but that's okay because I was still trying to build up some values and I just wanted to get a tone down first. So here I'm adding a little bit of yellow on the edge. You can't really see it too much, but I wanted to sort of represent some of the light still hitting the cactus. And then you will see me, I'm still adjusting the colors right there. Actually, I was fixing a small spot. You can still see some white paint behind there. And so I was just moving the paint around a little bit so you can see that. Okay, anyway, back to the paint. Yeah, you'll see me fight with this a little bit as I'm working through. At the moment, I was just putting some color down, and now because this paper is so amazing, I can move it around. I can move it without destroying the paper. I can move it without completely ruining it. Anyway, you're going to go out and buy 300-pound paper after this, aren't you? I hope you do.